Hello, I'm going to be talking about an article, an NPR article about the New York Times agonising over its diversity. But this is not just the New York Times. I found something quite similar in The Guardian as well. So, yeah, it's all the same. And it's Anglosphere-wide, I suspect, this peculiar racist attitude that people have, and it really is racist. Anyway, let's get down to this. People of colour at New York Times get lower ratings in job reviews, union says. So it's the union that says this, and so of course it must be true. And yet we get this quote right at the end of the report. According to the most recent figures posted publicly by the paper last year, people of colour made up 33% of the company and 23% of its leadership positions in 2020. Both were up about 2% from the previous year. The paper set the goal to double the share of African American and Hispanic colleagues by 2025. Well, yeah, maybe I'm wrong, but I thought 33% was higher than the national average for America. I believe that black people in America are 13%, not 33%. Now, before I carry on with the New York Times, I want to let you know that as I said, this is just as true for newspapers in the UK, like The Guardian or The Observer. It's a common thread with all of them. A lot of talk about diversity, which is little more than racism, so heavily disguised that they can't even see it themselves. But it's there anyway, as you can see here from an item published in The Guardian in April 2021. We believe that improving the diversity of our organisation will mean, when you see the word diversity, you know there's a problem there. Anyway, I mean, we're better equipped to produce meaningful journalism. No. What equips you better to produce meaningful journalism is good journalists. Oh, but that's just my opinion anyway. And to serve our readers and community. Yeah, but serve them what? Serve them rubbish or serve them good journalism. Anyway, we value and respect all differences in all people, yeah, seen and unseen, and aspire to an open, supportive and inclusive culture which makes The Guardian a good place to work for everyone. I am put in mind of various people who discovered they couldn't work for The Guardian because The Guardian told them they were bigots. And that's just because they didn't have the opinion held by The Guardian. Our diversity and inclusion statement and diversity partners can be found here. Just look at the amount of, when people start using the same word again and again and again, you know, they're just trying to convince themselves of something. Our UK Race Action Plan, PDF, so you can download it, announced to staff in September 2020, commits to actions that encourage transparency, there's another buzzword, accountability, and improve diversity across our business. I mean, if they're reasonable with English, they should at least be able to come up with a different word than diversity again and again and again. Maybe somebody can count how many words diversity was used in those couple of paragraphs. But back to the New York Times. Look, it's quite amusing to see them agonising over these figures that they're talking about and that they're not doing the right thing. Well, obviously they don't realise that they could open a vein and bleed out all over the floor and it still wouldn't be enough for the diversity industry, because the diversity industry keeps moving the goalposts, doesn't it? So what's been going on is that a report commissioned by the union found that black and Latino staffers are far less likely than their white peers to receive strong job ratings. Being Hispanic reduced the odds of receiving a high score by about 60%, and being black cut the chances of high scores by nearly 50%, says the report from the News Guild chapter representing employees of the New York Times. All right, that's interesting, isn't it? I mean, what's happening is that white employees get the highest scores, and then the black employees, and then the Hispanics. And in that you see an endless list of possibilities for how the assessments are being made, or rather being skewed on a tick box basis. To start with, it could be that the diversity hires aren't as good as they should be. That's always an obvious point and a reason for low scores. Another possibility is that the assessors are being less tough, for instance, on the black employees because they don't want to show up prejudiced. Sorry, Hispanics, but you rather get lost in the crush there, don't you? But this is what happens when you hire people on the basis of diversity, i.e. skin colour. What's most likely the problem is that although the New York Times might be interested in diversity, i.e. skin colour, the diversity is always skin colour. It's never opinion. And that may be where the Hispanics are losing out. They may have a completely different view of the world from their white assessors. They might have attitudes that the assessors think of as rude or bolshy or something like that. And we can't have differences of opinion on things like that, can we? And that would account for the white employees doing so well, because it's not their skin colour, it's their ability to parrot the party line, I suspect. Of course, the Asians would get the worst of it because they're seen as successful anyway, so they could take a bit of down marking. We can't have too many employees getting good assessments, can we? That would look like a lack of, for want of a better word, discrimination. And that's where a reporter called Francis Robles comes in, or maybe Robles. I'm going to say Robles because I'm British and that looks like Robles to me, who before almost anything else in this article is described as an Asian American. So that lets you know where she is on the diversity scale, doesn't it? And then we're told she burst into tears after getting a mediocre job rating, whereupon she left. Now, did she get a bad rating simply because she was an Asian American? After all, that's what Harvard did, didn't it? Or on the other hand, I suspect it might have been because she had a total lack of awareness, which even the people in the NYT might have noticed. Look what she says in the final paragraph of the article. She says that the New York Times is one of the greatest newspapers in the world which seeks to speak truth to power without fear or favour. The New York Times, the paper who famously tried to change the election results when it was reporting them after Trump won. The newspaper that actually suppressed hanky-panky going on in the Biden camp just before the election. And that's the one which she thinks seeks to speak truth to power without fear or favour. I'd say she got that low assessment for not understanding the skin colour grading message. That's what I think. Anyway, and that's why she ended up having to leave. Okay, well, that's it. I am Granniopteryx. I'm on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute and Minds. If you want to know when I've uploaded a video, subscribe to one of my social media platforms at Granniopteryx. I'm on Twitter, Gab and Parler. Please like this video. Please share it. Please subscribe. If you think you're subscribed, check that out. YouTube aren't so good at hanging on to subscriptions. Well, oh yes, and please support the channel if you can. And you can buy me a coffee or, well, the subscribe star and just plain old PayPal. It's down there in the description. Right. Well, that's my take on the New York Times and the Guardian and their diversity. Till next time. Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the Granniopteryx design or Grambo with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.granniopteryx.com and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share.